Have you ever noticed how our minds constantly divide everything into opposites? Good, bad, right or wrong? Yes or no? What if I told you there's a third way of thinking that transcends these opposites and could transform how you see the world? I'm Mark Roach. Welcome to Transcendent, my YouTube channel where I share my journey around the world through life, crossing the wide spectrum of human experience. This channel is all about inspiring common people to find their power. Today I'll be sharing from a group meeting held at Birdlip on April 14, 1945, titled The Work Idea of Yes and No from Dr. Nicoll's Psychological Commentaries. This is part one of our exploration of this material. Quote, "There are many things in the work we have heard but do not yet understand. Some people think that when they have heard a thing, they know it and understand it, confusing knowing and understanding. And when they hear it again, they tend not to listen or become impatient. They say, 'Oh yes, we've heard that before,' or 'We've heard over and over again that we have to observe ourselves. We have heard that we have to remember ourselves. We know all that.' So when they hear these words, these phrases, they become bored and pay no attention to what is being said. It is like being told that if you want to ride a bicycle, you must balance yourself on it. You may hear this repeated often enough, but do you imagine you understand how to ride a bicycle just by hearing and knowing that you have to balance yourself on it? Just in the same way, to observe oneself in terms of what the work teaches takes long personal work and practice. And to realize by practice what to remember oneself means takes far longer. Simply to know lies in the external memory, but to be able to practice and understand what you know is quite a different thing. So to begin to understand what self-observation is and why it is necessary, and quite a different thing from just hearing and knowing that one should observe oneself. Today I'm going to speak of something the work teaches that many of you have heard before, that is, that many of you know in your memory, but probably only in your memory. Remember, what you have only in your memory is not yet part of yourself, of your being. You may know a lot in your memory, but it is quite external to what you are. It is merely like a notebook with written words, not living. Let us take the work idea of yes and no and recall what is said about this. The work says that the formatory center, that is, the mechanical part of the intellectual center, which we ordinarily use and call thinking, can only work in terms of yes or no. Through constantly using this lower part of the thinking center, everything is divided into yes and no, or yes or no. You know how people argue from yes or no. One man says a thing is so, and the other man says it is not so. One man says a thing is true, and another man says it is not true, and so on. All the world is divided like this. You have only to listen to most forms of ordinary conversation to realize it is based on the division of yes or no. The work says that in the higher centers, this contradiction of yes or no does not exist, because in the consciousness belonging to higher centers, there are no contradictions. That is, there is no yes or no, but there is a union of the two, which is the work calls yes and no. And that was from the work idea of yes and no, part one, Dr. Nicoll's Psychological Commentaries. I'm Mark Roach with Transcendent. I'll see you in the next video.